Alright, here we are with our 5B homework review. First up is 9 to 24 by 3s here. Numbers 9 and 12, you are given an equation and you are asked to come up with the slope and the y-intercept. So when we're looking at this, we're going to remember what the slope-intercept form equation is, which is y equals mx plus b. So we know whatever our coefficient of x is, that's our slope. So slope here would equal 5. Our y-intercept is going to be whatever comes after that. It should, in the equation, be a plus sign. So if it's minus, we know that our b is negative, or y-intercept is negative, and then whatever the number is. So y-intercept here would be -3. Over for number 12, our slope here is negative. It's a coefficient, so it's -2/10. And our y-intercept here would be a positive because this is a plus sign. So it'd be a +3. Numbers 15 and 18, you are given the slope and the y-intercept, and you are asked to write that equation. So given these, we are going to plug in y equals mx plus b. The y and the x stay. We're replacing the m and the b. So the y equals 3x plus 2. Over here, again, we're replacing the m and the b. The x and the y stay. Here we would have, forget your x, we would have y equals -5 x plus 1 and 5. Here we are given some graphs and we're asked to decide what are our equations here. So first we need to figure out what our slope and our y-intercept is. 21. I'm looking for places that hit those intersections of the vertical and horizontal lines. And I'm seeing one at 0, -3, and I believe 1, -1 is 1. For some reason it looks kind of funky there, but that is 1. So from 0, -3, we would have to go up 2 and over to the right 1. So our slope would be 2 over 1, which would be simplified 2. Our y-intercept then is -3. So our equation would be y equals 2x minus 3. 24, oh boy. We have a point at -1, -3. -1, -3. And another point at 1, 2. So we would have to go up 5 to the right 2, so 5 halves. And our intercept, this one is tricky because you can't really see it, can you? So what I'm going to have to do here is plug my slope and one of the points that I can tell into this equation. So I'm going to use 1, 2, and plug that into this equation. I'd have to subtract 5 halves. Remember, 5 halves is 2.5, so -2.5 from 2 would be -1/2 for b. So now I can plug both of those in and say y equals 5 halves x minus 1/2. See that? y equals 5/2 x minus 1/2. Next we have 27 and 30. And 30 are similar to that one that we just did, in that we need to do something like this. We need to figure out what the slope is, and then figure out what our intercept is, and then finally plug them in to the slope-intercept form. So for number 27, we are given the two order pairs -2, 4, and 3, -1. While I'm doing this, I'm going to get my points for 30. And now I can figure out what my slope is. I'm going to say that these are my 2s. These are my 1s. Plug in 4 minus -1 over -2 minus 3, which would equal 5 over -5, which is the same thing as -1. So that would be my slope. And then I can plug that slope in one of my order pairs. Let's use this one. Plug those in. Solve out for B. Forever I seem to want to make that a 6. Add 3, and we get that B is 2. So now we can complete our slope-intercept form and say y equals -1x plus 2. Last one is number 30 here. We're going to do the same thing. I guess I'll call these my 2s and these my 1s. Let's see. So I'm plugging in 5 minus -3, -12 minus -7, double negatives in both of those. So it becomes 8 over -5. That's fine. And then I'm going to find out what my y-intercept is by plugging in that slope that I just found in one of my order pairs here. Those don't actually cross reduce. I was hoping that they would. Negative times negative would be positive. And let's see, 8 times 12 would be 96/5. So I would then subtract 96/5 from both sides and get my y-intercept here. 96/5 would be -19 1/5. Yeah, -19 1/5. So we can think about 5 plus a -19 1/5. So this would be -14 1/5. Which, if I wanted to make that improper, be -71/5. negative 71 over 5. Yep. Now that I have my slope and my y-intercept, I can go ahead and plug those into my slope-intercept form and say y equals negative 8/5 x plus a negative 71/5. And there you have it. That is homework for part 1. Moving on to the 2 problems I gave you in part 2. I gave you number 5 and number 6. The first thing that you're going to have to do here is look at these equations, figure out what your slope and your y-intercept are, and then you can go ahead and graph. So number 5, they give us the equation y equals negative 2x plus 1, and 6 is y equals negative 4x minus 1. Here our slope, or our coefficient to x would be negative 2. Our y-intercept is 1. Over here our slope is negative 4. Our y-intercept, not y. Our y-intercept is negative 1. Remember, in our equation, this should be a plus sign. Since it's not, that makes our y-intercept negative. Just going to pick up our hangman game from our Zoom this week. Alright, so y is 1, that means our first point is going to be there. Our slope is negative 2. So we're going to go down 2, 1, 2, and then to the right 1. Down 2, to the right 1. 3 points is enough to make that line, and there you have it. Over here, our y-intercept is negative 1, so it'll be right here, and our slope is negative 4. So we are going to be going down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, to the right 1, down 4, to the right 1. And here is our line, a nice steep line there. So there you have it. Those are the 2 problems from 5-3, part 2. And I will see you all in our Zoom on Monday. If you have any questions when you're going over the homeworks, make sure you're writing them down so that you don't forget to ask when we have our next Zoom. See you all then. Have a great week.